The process of configuring an individual EconoSpace is based on the work as set out in the course material. In other words, an examination of the issues of environment, size and budget and location. The issue of environment will allow one really to declare one's bottom line in regards to how one sees the EconoSpace functioning as part of this, of the natural world. The issue of size and budget will, particularly bring up questions of how the building is going to be made and by whom it's going to be made, and also how long the building is going to take to make. And then the issue of location will help one address the issues of where is the EconoSpace going to be located in respect of the sort of wider world, and then when a site is chosen, what are the issues surrounding that site that are going to impact the EconoSpace. In other words, orientation, views, trees, existing buildings, access and so on. All of the factors examined under those headings will have a bearing on the design of the EconoSpace, the configuration of the plan, and in order to carry out that work successfully, that work will have to be available and at hand. So the example we'll look at now is based on the 25 square meter template that's part of your course material. And what we look at is configuring an individual plan for that, developing elevations, and then creating a scale model based on that configuration, and begin to see that then in its three-dimensional reality, and then refine that further in order to bring it closer and closer and closer to what it is one actually wants. Now the configuration of the plan will very much relate to what you want to do in your EconoSpace. So you need to write down on paper what are the activities that you wish to carry out in the EconoSpace, and what are the items of furniture and equipment that one needs to have within the EconoSpace to allow those activities to be carried out. So that's sort of a little bit of a mess. So to clarify that, a good thing to do then is to take the greaseproof paper and to draw a fresh plan of it. So we might trim that piece of greaseproof. So working on a table is probably the best, and maybe working standing up is good. So we can lay the greaseproof paper over the plan, and then we can begin filling in. Here's the Peter post here, piece of wall there, so the door is there, boom, and it goes on really to there. So this turning round of the drawing is very, very important. There's the Peter post there. Our windows are going to fill that southern elevation. If you're in the southern hemisphere, the sun will be in the north at midday, so sort of everything will be not completely opposite, but certainly the position of the sun at midday will be opposite. So there's the back wall. We'll get rid of this under mats here. So at this point you're in a bit of a frenzy, you're getting excited, and you're really putting your building into three dimensions, and you're beginning to see what exactly your building is going to look like in three dimensions. So it's getting closer to your dreams. It's realize everything is. So there we have the plan, the east elevation, excuse me, the south elevation, the west elevation, and the north elevation. So all that's missing now is a roof, and what we can do is we can measure the overall length of that. We sort of know it from the plan. We can make it a little bit longer, so there's a bit of an overhang, and then we can make the side overhangs on that. So I'll do that now. So here we have the basic model, and we have a roof. Whoops. And boom, on it goes there. And we have a rough idea of what that all is going to be like, and what we can do now is that we can refine this model and tidy it up, and we can even cut out windows and have a look inside it. So here we have the model brought on to the next level of completion. The corners, with the addition of a heavy piece of paper pasted on there, which secures the walls together. The windows cut out, the doors cut out but sort of left in place, and the floor installed at its correct level, which would be about 600 millimeters off of the ground. So proportionally, that allows us to look inside the building and to get a sense of what that space would be like inside, and then we can start adding on things like external decks, which would be installed just below the internal floor level, or to look at such things as putting a small lean-to roof, for example, over the door that would protect that door from the weather. So the focus of the design task now is how to create this full size in the real world, and there'll be two aspects to that. There'll be the physical aspect to it and the abstract. So the physical aspect will address what is the building to be made of and how is it to be made, and the abstract will refer to the feeling that will be inside the building. So it's good to list those abstract feelings, the feeling one wants to create in the building. Perhaps you want it to be cozy, perhaps you want it to be practical, perhaps you want it to be sensuous. Write those things down, and then follow that with a list of what you want your surfaces to be made of, for example the floor, the walls and the ceilings, and those surfaces should help to create that sort of feeling that one is referring to. So for example, having a nice wooden floor will help to create a feeling of coziness and warmth. So the main physical things that need to be dealt with are the fact that the building would be made to be stable, in other words that it would stand up and stay up, that it would be secure against the weather, the impact of the weather on it and so on, and that it would, depending on the general climate, that it would either be warm or it would be a cool building. So the next stages of the EconoSpace making will focus on those issues, but what one must bear in mind is that we can see all the different aspects of the building at this size, at this scale, so that's a very, very good way of working out what one will encounter when one goes out on site, and that making several models, making several different plans is a very, very, very good idea, particularly if you haven't a lot of experience with the self-building and so on.